Exco representative who is the last man standing from the intervention team that was sent to the Mafube local municipality. For now, it's 10:30. Time for your latest news headlines.
Good morning. In the headlines, Gauteng's new roads and transport MEC Kiribone Diale Tlhabela says putting an end to taxi violence will be a priority for the 7th administration. The South African Police Union has called on the newly appointed Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, to take a stern stance against police killings, and Israel has confirmed it's evaluating what is described as new comments submitted by Hamas to Qatari and Egyptian negotiators attempting to end 9 months of conflict in Gaza. I'll have details on these and other stories at 11.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 18 rand 41 to the dollar, 23 rand 47 to the pound, and 19 rand 87 to the euro. Markets in Asia were mainly higher at the closing bell. The JSE positive in mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe have extended gains. Gold is trading at $2,357, platinum $1,010 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $86.55 a barrel.
Hello everybody, Winter M over here. Very excited to be on the biggest show on television. Deal or No Deal Celebrity, coming to you every Saturday, 6 p.m. on SABC1.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
We continue the conversation on Municipal Watch, and today we're looking at the Mafube local municipality in the Free State, a municipality that has by and large collapsed and is bedeviled, right, with a host of service delivery problems. The officials from that municipality have painted a picture of what is going on there, including the fact that the intervention that has been assigned to the municipality over the years has simply not yielded the results that they would have been looking for. Lungelo Mkhaza is the lead provincial EXCO representative. He joins us on the line, and as we've heard already, he is the last remaining member of the intervention team that was sent to this municipality. Lungelo, it seems to a great extent, listening to what the other representatives have said, that the intervention for the Mafube municipality has simply not worked, which means that the efforts that you and others were supposed to bring into the municipality, that those have largely failed.
Hello, Cathy. I am actually Lindelo.
Lindelo. Apologies for that. All right. Thanks for that correction.
No problem. You are correct. I'm the last man standing. Thanks a lot for the opportunity that has been given to me. Look, Cathy, the issues of this municipality are multiple. It's not just one issue. There's got a whole range of issues there. The main one, to me, is not so much internal in the municipality. That we can resolve. But the main issue to me is the depressed economy of the area. When you look at your statistics, for an example, the unemployment rate, it's just so high that it then becomes extremely problematic or challenging for the municipality to actually raise the revenue that it is supposed to raise because of high unemployment in the area. Let's come to internally. See, we were appointed in terms of Section 139 of the Constitution, and when you look at that section, it required that a financial recovery plan be imposed. But unfortunately, even if you do impose a plan, if there are no resources accompanying that plan, then it becomes difficult to actually implement the plan. At this point in time, I don't know whether Advocate Lipiana had indicated that averagely the revenue collection for the municipality has been at around 22%, which means for every 100 rands that is to be collected, only 22 was collected. When you look at the creditors that the municipality is faced with, it owes people about 1.2 billion, and yet it collects only 22%. The debtors, people who owe the municipality, that stands well in excess of 800 million. Now, with that type of a situation, it has become extremely difficult to turn around the situation. So what we have been trying to do... Hello?
Yes, I'm listening, Lindelwa.
Thank you. What we have been trying to do as an intervention team is to try and assist the municipality in crafting a credible revenue collection mechanism. And we have they've now started actually implementing that plan, and we're hopeful that it will succeed. But another very, very important point which I made earlier is about resources. You see, this municipality, two key things. One, the data that it has, it's just so messy that it can't be really used for collection of revenue. So their billing is in a very messy state. The second issue is... Yes, sure.
So, Mr. Mkhaza, then what would you say, what difference would you say you've been able to bring into the municipality since you came in as administrators?
Repeat that question, sorry?
What difference would you say you've been able to bring to the municipality since coming in as administrators?
Up to thus far, no significant change, really, truth to tell. And primarily because, as I've been saying, there's a multiplicity of factors here. You see that with a municipality that never had permanently appointed directors, that is heads of departments. There's never had a permanent municipal manager. The systems are simply in a state that needs a complete overhaul. So based on that, as a one man, I just can't change that situation. There's a need for resources into that municipality to turn it around. In the absence of that, I'm not sure it is going to take very, 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 very long before we'll be able to turn it around.
What is your working relationship like with the acting municipal manager and the mayor there?
No, it is very, very, very fine. It is very, very, very fine. We actually talk almost every day. In fact, this morning we were talking about a water situation in one of the towns called Cornelia, So we have a good working relationship at this stage.
So then, Mr. Mkhaza, if you're saying that there's very little that you've been able to do because there are no additional resources coming in, you acknowledge the fact that, yes, the municipality could be doing better, but it needs resources which you don't have and which you can't bring in. Why are you still there as this intervention team? What is the purpose of your being there?
Look, as I think somebody said it, this intervention came in as a result of a court order. Now, you can't just stop it without having gone back to court to say there's no more need for this particular intervention and that type of a thing. So, based on that, it is an attempt at implementing the court order. Another thing is that the plan, the so-called financial recovery plan, came a bit late in the year. It came around September 2023, So we're trying at this stage to really, really get into it and implement some of the things that are in that plan, albeit without any resources. As I said, I'm just one man there now.
Zakhali, let me bring you in here as a resident, because as we have heard, administratively, there clearly is a lot happening in terms of the failures, not much happening in terms of interventions and the ability to really bring a meaningful change or meaningful difference. What impact is all of this having on you as residents of Mafube?
Good morning to you, Katie, and all the listeners. Well, there's a lot that is going on here, but let me start by saying I'm so happy because they are even accepting that the municipality has been bankrupt. Let me put it that way. Actually, we don't have a municipality at all. We don't have a municipality at all. We are on our own as the community of Mafube because, number one, there are a lot of crises and they are not being attended to. We have water crisis. I'm speaking today, this morning, we don't have water, and it's very sad to see old people running up and down, carrying water on top of their head, walking a long distance, and it's been going on for years, but nothing has been done with the water crisis. But what they did is to bring us the truck tankers. To me, that they are useless because they are leaking. They are not even healthy for the community to drink that water. So it is very sad, like I'm saying, to say we don't have a municipality at all, Beckett.
So help us understand this a bit better, Zakhali. The municipality, of course, is saying it doesn't have money, right? So on a day-to-day basis, for you as residents, it means what? That when you have problems with your water supply, there's nobody there to fix it. When there are issues with electricity, there's nobody there to fix it. Help us understand how this is affecting the day-to-day running of your lives as residents in this municipality.
Beckett, like I've said, it is very, very painful because now when you try to run or try to report to the so-called leaders or even the councillors, they say, we will see what we do. It's their sold each and every day. Nothing has been done about that because even if you want to call the municipal offices, number one, there is no phone in those offices. So who do you call or who do you run to? Because if you go to councillors will tell you that we have nothing. We also don't know what to do. So if the so-called councillors or even the municipal workers like MMs and councillors don't have any solutions, as a community member, how do you live or where do you run to if they say to you, we have nothing, we cannot do anything about that? So it is very painful. It is very painful because this thing has been going on for years. The municipality itself has been under administration for over 10 years, thinking and hoping that things will be better, but it's even going worse now, Beketi. It's even going worse each day to see that you have to wait for a truck tanker to give you water. You don't even know or you're not even sure that it will come today. You're hoping that it will come. If it didn't come and you were busy, you were not there, then you have missed water. You won't have water for that day.
Muthusi, is this true that the municipality doesn't even have a basic, such as a call center line, where residents can report issues of service delivery?
That is not correct, Katie. We do have the offices, and our offices are always open. As I'm speaking to you
yes,
now.
I asked about a call center line, not offices, a call center line.
No, we don't have a call center line. We don't have that.
So anybody that needs to report a fault has to come physically to your offices?
No, we do have other systems. We
Such
do have such as the WhatsApp group, service delivery WhatsApp groups, where you report the matter, like that Mkaza was indicating that we have a problem of water in Cornelia now. That complaint, we got it from our WhatsApp group. Remember,
who is on the WhatsApp group?
All councillors, all directors, myself, and all relevant officials who deal with services.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the officials here. I'm talking about a platform where residents who are having issues with service delivery, where they can raise those issues. What is the platform that exists for residents?
Cathy, let's start here. You are asking about the call center. Now, we are talking about a municipality that does not have systems. So we admitted that there are systems that are not there. So what are we doing to now mitigate that situation? We have a WhatsApp group where residents can then use that to report to their councillors, and councillors report to us, and then we attend to the issues. So that is what is in place.
Yeah, but Mr. Lipiani, you said that on the WhatsApp group is the councillors, not the residents.
No, the councillors are then the people that receive directly the things from the complaints from the residents. Every councillor has got ward committees members. They report to them or directly to our councillors. We have got a very active team of councillors who consistently report issues. We have got a very active WhatsApp group that communicates with the community. So that is what the municipality can afford at the moment. The municipality cannot afford to have a call center. We don't have that facility. But we have active WhatsApp groups, which is a very effective way of communicating. It is not the best, but in the circumstances, it is a way of us knowing exactly what the people are saying and then also communicating back to the community. So that is what is available at the moment.
Opa Sonopol, you're one of the residents out in Mafube. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Yes.
Yes, I'm staying in Frankfurt in the town, and I'm staying here for 8 years already, going for the 9th year, close to 9 years. And since we moved in, we had the problem of no water supply, roads that is actually not maintained, and also we have a problem with refuge that is actually not collected by the municipality. So in 2022, I actually decided I'm not going to wait for the municipality or for any of the other people. I'm just going to start communicating with the Department of Water and start to communicate with the President Hotline and Kochte. And at the moment, I also communicated with the Human Rights Commission. So, and on several occasions, I did communicate with Mr. Makaza, the administrator himself. He said to me, no, there's no money in the municipality. But the problem is not no money. The problem is that the municipality has to collect the debt. That's one of their functions. If I run a business, I have to collect my own debt. I can't expect from anybody else to do it. So at one stage, they did actually have a company that started to collect the debt for them, but only after a very short period, I think maybe 2 months, they actually stopped this company from collecting debt, and this specific company is collecting debt for other municipalities, which are very successful. So as a resident, at the moment, we don't have water. Sometimes we don't have water for 5 to 15 days. This is totally unacceptable. I've reported, I can give you report numbers from the Department of Water, the President Hotline, and a lot of other reference numbers that I reported these issues a lot of times from 2022, and I'm keeping records of every message, every no water supply issue. When we do communicate with the councillors, the response from the councillors is that they don't get information from the MM, and also from the lady that is the head of the maintenance. And we even tried ourselves to get hold of those people. They just ignore you. So they don't give information to the councillors, and they sit there in positions, and even now they don't communicate with the residents concerning the no water issue on a regular basis.
Okay. Opa, I want you to stay on the line. Mr. Lipiani, you're hearing there what Opa is saying, his experience as a resident. What do you have to say to that? Because again, it goes back to the issue that Zikali raised, that there is no platform for residents to actually raise their concerns and know that those are legitimately being addressed by the municipality.
Okay. I really don't want to come here and defend the municipality. I want to come here to provide correct information about the state of the municipality so that
which is shambolic by the sound of it.
Yes, I don't dispute that. But let me now address the issues that you have just asked me. It is not then fair that when a people have got an opportunity to be in this platform, they give wrong information. It is not true that when cases are reported, they are not being attended. So also Zikali is totally not correct what she's saying. The SAMU member who's listening here will tell you now that as we are speaking, their members who are our employees are all over the place attending to complaints of water.
But Mutusi, it's not just Zakali that is saying it. You have Opa Swanepoel, who's also on the line, who says that he's even gone as far as to the water department and the presidential hotline because he wasn't getting any responses from you.
I'm coming to her comments as well. I wanted to start with Zikali. Zikali's comments are incorrect. Now let's come to Ms. Swanepoel. Yes, Ms. Swanepoel might have sent those things to the presidential hotline. I don't dispute that, but it is incorrect to say there are days where we don't have water for 5 to 15 days. Just misleading and painting the municipality in the wrong light. It is not true that the councillors are not attended to when they register complaints.
Okay,
it is not true that the municipal manager are not responding.
I'll give you a chance to come in.
Okay.
Mutusi, why would residents lie about not having water? Does that make sense? Why would they lie about it?
You are talking to two residents.
I've got it. I've got more on the WhatsApp line who've sent through messages. We just don't have time to read all of those messages.
Mamela Elskip, you have got a resident who says from 5 to 15 days there is no water in Mafube. That person is not telling the truth. Now I can't explain her reasons for not telling the truth. I can only tell you that she can't even produce a day where Frankfurt, Cornelia or any town was not having water for 15 days.
Okay.
Ask her now.
Okay.
Ask her now to give you that detail. So
okay.
It's just fair that we must give correct information.
Hold that thought. Zakali, you can come in.
I want to say Mr. Pierre must not lie, because the listeners are listening, must not lie and try to defend himself because they have failed us as the community. And the billing system is very dysfunctional. So how do you want the residents to pay when we don't even get the invoices? You find that today they say you must pay 2,000, tomorrow you must pay 3,000. And regarding water issues, in my ward, I'm standing in now, or I'm standing out, I'm speaking on behalf of my ward in Ward 7. We have not been having water for years, but we have taps in our years. But not even a day or one day that we get water from the taps that they inputted. We are relying on those tractors, and sometimes they do come, sometimes they don't come. So Mr. Piano must not try to defend himself here. actually, he must just accept that there are no services that are not being provided in the community, rather than defending himself, because I'm not the only resident that has been complaining about this. And the issue of WhatsApp group, it is my first time to hear about that. We don't have that WhatsApp group. It's only them, the leaders, the officials, so-called officials, that have those WhatsApp groups. We don't have any WhatsApp. If you want to report, you must go straight to the municipality, and they will put you around. You will go to that person. You will go to that person. At the end of the day, you are not being assisted. So he must not lie or defend himself here.
All right, Opa.
Yes, on the 25th of the 9th, I kept all messages, remember that, of the MM and of Mrs. Nokukanya, who's supposed to be over maintenance, and of the councillor. So all messages is kept in record, okay? So on the 25th of the 9th, 2022, the Cornelia part of our municipality were without water for 15 days. And if Cornelia is out of water, it's also the low-lying areas where I'm staying in is out of water, because the high-lying areas get water first. So when it comes to the low-lying areas and there's no pump that's actually working properly, and there's like at the moment they're pumping with a small pump, 2 of the pumps have actually burned out. These pumps were actually replaced in March month, so that were new pumps. So that means that these pumps weren't serviced, because a new pump won't break down if you don't actually service the bearings and those things. That's the only reason why a pump will actually break down.
So, Opa, just to confirm, you have been keeping a record of every time that you have not had water.
Yes, I've kept record of all messages from 2022. And I've sent records through to the President Hotline, to the Department of Water, all these records that I actually do have. Also, I've actually written like a report on a 6-monthly basis and tell them this and this date we don't have water, the pumps have actually been broken.
Good for you, Opa. Good for you. And I trust that you will share that with us so that we can also show it to the municipality and its officials who are disputing that. Tsepo Tedzi, you are with Imatu. Good morning, Tsepo.
Good morning, Cathy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
And greetings to all listeners. Unfortunately, Cathy, I was not, or we were not consulted as Imatu, because I don't know. We have 2 recognized trade unions in local government, but when labor making consultation, they only get hold of one. However, it's not a transmission. I'm now online. Listening to all of the speakers at the table. Today we are on the 3rd or the 4th of July. We were paid yesterday for the month of June. And we were paid precisely with equitable share. Then where I'm going with this, the issue here is mismanagement of funds and corruption in our municipality. So as and when we get paid now with the equitable share for the month of May and June, it clearly tells you, come August, September, we're going to still struggle. However, our officials, the administrator and the acting MM, they are not taking accountability of the situation in our municipality. Ntate Kaza was here since 2022, around April. He is now on full 2 years. As he stated, he is here under Section 139 A and C as per the court order. Before that, we were declared under administration by provincial COPTA in 2017, which lasted until 2020. Then later 2020, we were taken out of administration, and then we went to this one. Till today, the situation from 2017 to date have not changed, because we're struggling to monthly salaries. And as Ntate Ndele stated, we only get net salaries, not gross salaries. That tells you even our third parties are not being paid. Your funeral policies, your medical aids, your pension funds, to the extent that we forfeit our benefits from the pension funds.
All right.
And we also...
All right. Tsepo, here's what we're going to do, because there's clearly still a lot for us to look at when it comes to this municipality. We're going to continue with this conversation on Thursday next week. We'll have a part 2 of this particular municipal watch. Also mindful of all of the listeners that want to be part of the conversation. I imagine quite a number of them also from the Mafube local municipality. I would encourage you, though, in the meantime, do send us messages, WhatsApp voice notes on what is happening in the municipality so that we're able to get to the nub of some of the issues before we get to Thursday next week. It's 11 o'clock.
In our top stories, Gauteng's Transport MEC prioritizes ending taxi violence, and Mchunu urged to take a stern stance against police killings. Good morning. Gauteng's New Roads and Transport MEC Kiribone Diale-Tlhabela says putting an end to taxi violence will be a priority for the 7th administration. Gauteng has seen a series of taxi-related violent attacks between warring taxi associations, which has claimed many lives, including innocent passengers. In Soweto, there's been an ongoing feud between Wata and Nandue. Diale-Tlhabela says the provincial government will also work into expanding the rail system into neighbouring provinces.
There's still a whole lot of work. You've seen us in the past 20 months ensuring that we work hard in completing the incomplete road infrastructure projects. There's still a lot. Working closely with the taxi industry in Gauteng, I think will make sure that to an extent we eradicate taxi violence in our province. The Premier spoke a lot about ensuring that we implement the idea of a speed train towards Limpopo. He also spoke about expanding our rail network to the neighboring provinces like the Northwest as well as the Free State.
Please note the following story may upset sensitive listeners, including children. Remains believed to be that of 6-year-old Junior Mabandla, who went missing in Pinar outside Mbombela, Mpumalanga last month, have been found. It was found buried in another grave. This after angry residents apprehended a man who was allegedly burning human body parts yesterday afternoon. Police spokesperson Donald Mhluli says the suspect will assist in finding another 3-year-old child who went missing yesterday.
So he's apprehended under police guard, and we're also informed of the 2 incidents where a 6-year-old Junior Mabandla, actually his remains were in that graveyard, and later in the early hours of this morning, that's when the remains were taken. The family was there. They confirmed the clothes that he was wearing. The other 3-year-old went missing yesterday. Today, his body will be exhumed.
DA leader in Gauteng, Solim Simanga, says the Deputy Speaker of Gauteng's provincial legislature and member of the Democratic Alliance, Refilwe Ntseke, will resign from her position after the DA failed to form part of the executive of the Gauteng Government of Provincial Unity. The Democratic Alliance withdrew from the coalition and took the opposition benches after talks with the ANC collapsed. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi finally announced his cabinet yesterday after 2 postponements due to deadlocked negotiations with the DA. Msimanga says they will not be working with the ANC.
Well, we are not going to, just take up positions for the sake of taking up positions. There was methodology and there was thought that went into why we were taking positions. The deputy speaker taking the chair of chairs and 6 oversight committees was part of the plan because, these things are interlinked. They serve a particular cause, and in the way that they are joined together, they're able to then, have an impact in how government runs. And therefore, Refile is not going to continue in that position. We will be making that announcement later on, either today or tomorrow.
The South African Police Union has called on the newly appointed Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, to take a stern stance against police killings. The South African Police Union spokesperson Jabu Mabena urged Mchunu not to interfere with the operational activities of the police, as that is the responsibility of the National Police Commissioner. He asked for the police service legislation to be amended to deal decisively with police killings. Mabena further called on President Cyril Ramaphosa to declare police killings as treason.
Number one, the killings of the police officials. Throughout this years, we have seen government administrations coming in and out. This is the 7th one. We are calling on the minister to focus on changing the legislation that will make sure that justice is done. We want laws that will set an example for others to stop these killings, because today the perpetrators are arrested only to be released again on bail.
Because they will still be granted bail.
And finally, Israel has confirmed it's evaluating what's being described as new comments submitted by Hamas to Qatari and Egyptian negotiators attempting to end 9 months of conflict in Gaza. The proposals relates to efforts to secure the release of Israeli hostages still being held in Gaza and to achieve a ceasefire. The BBC's Yolanda Nell reports.
This has come after weeks of very little public diplomacy. Hamas says it's responded in a positive spirit to the deal that's on the table. That's basically the 3-phase plan that was outlined by President Biden that the US has been pushing for. Very quickly, we had a response from the Israeli Prime Minister's office acknowledging that it had got those Hamas comments and that along with the Mossad intelligence service, which is really leading the negotiations, those were being looked at, they were being evaluated.
Recapping the top story, Gauteng's new roads and transport MEC Kiribone Diale-Tlhabela says putting an end to taxi violence will be a priority for the 7th administration. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Lights. Camera. Scalpel. Every second counts, and every cut, every thought, every action is critical. Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
Why is the municipal manager not being held accountable? Why is his own party not holding him accountable? That's the real question. And we are discussing these things, but we're not saying there are thousands of people in South Africa who would do this job perfectly, but we've got these people in charge. If they can't do the job, please get them out of the position and get someone in there who can do the job. Black, white, Indian, affirmative action does not work. It hasn't worked around the world. Okay, it just divides people. It's divided an entire generation that have nothing to do with apartheid. We're sitting around thinking about race and stuff. This is ridiculous. Young people are not interested. Replace this guy, please.
Katie, this masipala is struggling. as communities, and we also want to buy the stand. I'm 42 years old now. I want to move out of my parents' home and buy the stand, but you can't. I don't know when the last time did they sell the stand formally and it go well. Now people, they forced to go and grab the land, and where they grabbing the land is not good. We want where we can. And I don't know, why can't they dismantle this thing of combining the municipality and give it each and every, because there are 4 municipalities, Cornelia, Villiers, Frankfurt, and Twele. Why can't they give each and every town its own man? Because this thing does not work at all, guys, man. Yo, it's a problem. This one is need the provincial to intervene or national. Thank you very much. Busa here. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Morning, Cathy. It's Chris and Peter Maritzburg. The whole conception of administration needs to be reviewed because it has been another cater deployment tool. And there has been reports that these are ineffective. At West, they leave municipality at the worst stage than they are. Part of what we need is that the key results, success milestones need to be made public. There has to be a report of what people have done. And we really need to appoint competent people to lead these things, not cadres. Thanks.
Says Cathy, ask the acting municipal manager if the municipality has the Municipal Public Accounts Committee, because it is the committee that is responsible for ensuring that the finances of a municipality are spent in accordance with the needs of the municipality and are properly accounted for by the municipal executive and the municipal administrative structure, which is the EXCO and all the senior managers which are appointed. Ilim, thank you very much.
Yo, Cathy, I was one of those people who got a fright. I was getting out of my car into a shop, and when you said it's 11, I have an appointment for 11:30, which is 20 kilometers away. Yeah, thanks for that clarification.
All right. Thanks for those WhatsApp voice notes here. We are going to continue with Municipal Watch on the Mafube municipality next week, because I do think that there is still quite a bit for us to unpack. So we will have it next week. For those of you that are still sending questions and wanting, I think, better answers from the municipality and the administrator. Well, for the final conversation then this morning, we're looking at blood donation in South Africa. According to the South African National Blood Service, less than 1% of citizens are active and regular blood donors, and there is a concern as this does lead to shortages of blood in the healthcare system. Professor Glenda Davison is a medical scientist and associate professor at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. Prof. Davison, good morning to you. Thank you for your time this morning.
Yes, good morning, Cathy. It's really good to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Let's talk about the need for blood donations in the first place. Why is it important for people to donate blood?
I think it's important because there are so many times, and it could even happen to you and I, when we are in an accident, for example, and we're bleeding and we lose a lot of our blood. And if you lose too much of your blood, you can die. And so if there is blood donation available, doctors can use that to replenish that blood. And there are also many chronic diseases that people have in South Africa and all over the world where their bone marrows don't make enough blood. And they are constantly anemic. And then also they need blood donations regularly to keep their oxygen levels and their hemoglobin levels at a certain level in order for them to live. There's a lot more detail to this, but thousands of people need blood in South Africa every day.
And why do you think it is that we've got such low rates of participation when it comes to blood donorship?
This is a complex issue. I'm a blood donor myself, but I can tell you that there's sometimes a fear of being a blood donor, and there is no need to be fearful. But some people fear needles. They're scared even to go and have a tube of blood taken. And when you have to donate blood, obviously the nurse has to insert a needle into your arm. It's not painful, but some people fear that. And so that prevents them from actually going. There's also the fear of maybe discovering a hidden disease. We don't want to know what's wrong with us. And the blood transfusion service, to protect the donor and the patient, will test your blood for various diseases like HIV, hepatitis, and other diseases. But I think most of it is lack of awareness. And here I think, I know the blood transfusion services do a lot in schools and universities to make people aware, but I think a program like this also helps to make people aware of the value of donating blood. And this is not a common unique to South Africa. I think all over the world, people hesitate to donate blood. It also could be through mistrust. What are you going to do with my blood? Are you going to use it and test it and share information with everybody? So there's a lot of factors that are put into place and that stop people from actually making that decision to go and donate blood.
Yeah, and Glenda, you're raising such a big issue around just the awareness of blood donation. I remember the first time I sort of fully encountered the South African National Blood Services. It was on Wits University as a student, and even then, there are those that are reluctant to go and donate because often they're not sure what that entails. But once you actually interact with the officials and they explain everything to you, then it's easy for people to come on board because they understand the importance of actually being able to donate blood. So, in terms of the work that you believe that can be done to break some of the stereotypes around it, to break some of the myths around it, how can we go about doing it? Because, of course, universities and schools aren't the only spaces.
Yes, you are quite correct. And I think a lot of work gets done in universities and schools. I lecture at a university and I know there's a constant trickle of information coming there. But, as you correctly say, there are community centers. I think churches, I know some religions don't believe in blood transfusion, but a lot do. They could also play a role. Government could play a role in, promoting and helping the blood transfusion services to create awareness more broadly in the community, incorporated into days like a Nelson Mandela Day, which is coming up now in the 18th of July. That's always a time when I think what I can do is to go and donate blood today because I'll be saving a life, and kind of link it to that and make it an awareness program. And governments and other community organizations could help promote that. So it's a difficult one, but the heart of it is creating awareness and understanding and taking away that fear and making people believe that, in fact, they're making a difference to the world by donating blood because you are saving a life. And 1 unit of blood can save up to 5 lives, because there are different components of the blood that can be used.
Okay. Marika Kali, you are the Public Relations Manager at the Western Cape Blood Service. What have you often found is a challenge when people have to donate blood? What gets in the way?
Morning, Cathy. Yes, I couldn't have said it better than what Prof. Glenda just said. There's definitely a lack of awareness when it comes to, and also the typical thing about fear of needles. Not really knowing where to go, what happens to my blood. Some people might be afraid information might be shared. There's all those concerns that are lingering around and that do deter some people from donating blood.
How do you help people overcome that hurdle, Kali?
First thing is definitely creating the awareness. Thank you so much for this platform. I think it's perfect, and I couldn't have said it any better, that we need to talk about it. So we try and make blood donation accessible to everybody. We also try and make it fun. And we always say to any person, please tell us, if you are afraid, don't let that deter you from pitching at a clinic. Come to our clinic. Tell our staff. Our staff is well trained. They know exactly what to do. So they will guide you through the entire process. And if you just want to come through to one of our clinics to see what it's about, what it's like, what is the procedure, if you just want to get some more information, please don't hesitate in getting into contact with us. We do try and make it fun. So at the moment as well, we have our winter sock campaign. So there's lots of fun elements to look forward to when you do arrive at a clinic. At the moment, we are heroing our blood donors. So for our winter campaign from May to August, when you donate a unit successfully, you'll receive a limited edition WCBS Euro-inspired pair of socks to keep you nice and warm, and then also to keep the conversation going, because you will leave the blood donation clinic with a cool pair of funky, colourful socks, and we ask people to talk about it and to create that awareness when they do leave the blood donation clinic.
And you know, Marika, I must say, at the time when I was a blood donor, I had to stop because at some point I developed anemia. But as a student, we used to look forward to those free refreshments, hey? The bottomless juice and biscuits that you would get only if you donated. So those absolutely go a long way for students. Anonymous, you're out in Limpopo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You want to talk about your experience as a donor?
Yes. I'm a full-time donor. I donate around 3 times in a year.
Fantastic.
Yes. And being a blood donor for me is very important. I say so because to save someone's life, most especially strangers, makes me feel very good. I go to bed on that day knowing that I did the Lord's work. It's very comfortable. At first I was scared. Like my first time, I was scared. I thought, it's going to be painful and time-consuming. Not at all. It's pain-free. It's very fast. And then there's personal information that they need as well, but they do it on electronic devices. It's also very quick. It's a very comfortable space to be in. So I really want to encourage all listeners to really look into it. And if you can, please donate. People need our blood outside. Yeah.
And Anonymous, what do you find are the questions that you often have to deal with as a blood donor, especially on the days that, you can't meet some people because you're like, well, I'm going to donate blood. What do those people say to you?
No, they always ask, is it painful? Is it not a lot of blood? Are you going to be sick after that, you see? So, yeah.
There's still a lot of education that has to be made.
Yes,
all right. Well, Anonymous, thanks for calling in and sharing your experience. And Marika, I guess this is really what you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, the lack of education and awareness around blood donating.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for Anonymous who phoned in and to share her experience. I think it all starts there is to get the conversation going and to have platforms like this to talk about it. We can have as many great campaigns and different artworks, and we can try as two big blood services in South Africa to go out We do try and make blood donation as accessible and to communicate where people can find a clinic, but it all starts with that education and people sharing their experience. Because let's be honest, it's just sharing that experience, and to listen to Anonymous sharing her story, that might have motivated somebody else today. And I really hope that it did. Because if we share that experience, we also know that we're not alone. And we also then get to understand the need for blood. Blood is needed every single day in every single hospital for patients in need. And it's not just for trauma, it's used on a daily basis for patients. So that's definitely, it's an ongoing thing for us as blood services, is to talk about it and to educate people about the need. And that we rely on voluntary donors to come out and help us to save lives.
Glenda, I guess it's probably easier to overcome some of the physical fears that people have, like, oh, I'm afraid of needles. Is it painful? Is it going to take a lot of my time? It's probably easier to deal with those than to deal with the cultural aspects that may come in, or even the spiritual aspects around people's beliefs that concern blood donating.
Yes, you're correct, Cathy, and there is that aspect of religious beliefs about giving blood and receiving blood. And I'm sure the blood transfusion services and clinicians could have lots of stories about that. I think we have to respect that. I believe that you have to respect a person's religion. However, I also believe we need to explain to people and educate people that this, in fact, is something that you can do for other people, that it's an act of kindness, that it is not going to hurt you if you receive blood or if you give blood. But overcoming those cultural beliefs is very, very difficult. And I still think it goes back, as our colleague from the transfusion service said, goes back to awareness and education. Because some people, I think it's because it's an unknown, they fear it, and it becomes then part of the cultural belief not to do it. So awareness and education and conversations like we're having today, I think is a good start to overcome that.
All right. I want to take some of the comments from our listeners, and then we're going to wrap up this show, at least this aspect of the conversation.
Cathy, I think more awareness campaigns are needed for blood donation, especially in black communities. We don't donate blood, and it's bad because there are some sicknesses and diseases that are going somehow according to the racial lines, and when they check the people on your race that they've donated blood so that you may be saved, you find that there is none. So can you just donate blood, guys, please?
Good morning, Oskathy. It's Fred the Trucker here in Free State. Oskathy, I've been a blood donor since 2003. But recently, when I crossed the border, maybe to Namibia or Mozambique, then when they ask me these questions to say, have you been out of the country? When I say yes, they don't want my blood. So now I no longer go and give my blood because I feel discriminated.
All right, let's play this voice note.
Hi, Cathy. Bantu Mchiselwa here. As much as I would like to donate blood, it is my biggest dream to do so, but I cannot get over my fear of needles. And just seeing that blood coming out of me, I cannot get myself to get over that. Hopefully one day I will. But donating blood is the most important thing to do. I just need to work on my fear of the needles.
All right. Thanks for those WhatsApp voice notes. Yeah. Marika, let me give you the first chance then to respond to what our listeners were saying, and then I'll take headlines and we'll then give it over to Prof to wrap up.
So, unfortunately, Cathy, I couldn't hear the first voice note very clear. Can you just summarize what he said?
So I think the first voice note was just around how we need more awareness campaigns to actually educate people, especially people in townships, about the importance of donating blood.
So they're asking, how are we going about?
Yeah, look, I think it was more of a comment than it was a question to say that, we need more of these campaigns also in our townships and rural areas so that black people understand the importance of donating blood. Marika, I'm going to give you a chance to respond alongside Prof. Davison in a moment. It's 11:30. It's time for your latest news headlines.
With the headlines, I'm Dino Motaung. Good morning. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has rejected claims by the Democratic Alliance that the ANC blatantly refused to consider giving them more cabinet seats. Meanwhile, Gauteng's new Roads and Transport MEC Gidiboni Diale-Tlabela says putting an end to taxi violence will be a priority to the 7th administration. And the Johannesburg Road Agency says they are currently doing investigations to determine the cause of the fire that occurred at the M1 road yesterday, which resulted in power outages. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
In South Africa, 1 in 5 children under the age of 13 is overweight or obese. Sign a petition to demand strong warning labels on unhealthy packaged food. And don't forget to catch the next episode of Chew on This at healer.org on Thursday, 27 June from 3 p.m. Young people tell us how big food companies are feeding them lies.
Set in a gleaming new high-tech trauma center that deals with only the most serious cases, an emergency medical team must battle through the crucial first hour of care to save lives that hang in the balance. Each distinctive case is told with a thrilling intensity and nail-biting urgency as the team work on the very edge of the medically possible. This is a medical drama like no other. This is Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime only on S3. Open up.
Cathy Mohlahlana on SAFM.
We continue the conversation on the Talking Point. We've been looking at the culture of blood donorship in South Africa and how then we can begin to change that, because, of course, this is really something that can be life-saving, especially during times of crisis and emergencies. Marika Kali, Public Relations Manager at the Western Cape Blood Services, and Professor Glenda Davison also speaking to us this morning as a medical scientist and Associate Professor at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. So, Marika, let me give you a chance then to respond to our listeners and also just your concluding remarks.
Yes, so in terms of our first listener that phoned in, I agree. We need more awareness. We do try and go about reaching everywhere, but we can't. And that's why we also need the help of our listeners and of our current blood donors. So please keep the conversation going, and if you do have any suggestions or of events where you could get involved or partner with, please get in contact with us. Our doors are open. We have a marketing team ready to investigate where we can open clinics or where we can go out to help spread the word. And then the second listener spoke about going out of the country, and then when she got back, she couldn't donate. I'm not 100% sure what the circumstances around that was. Just there would be reasons why a donor will not be able to donate for various reasons. We always need to make sure that it's safe for the donor to donate, but also for the patient to receive the blood. In a case what this reminds me of, it might be that the person might have visited a malaria area. So malaria could be carried over in the red blood cells. So I would really ask the donor to just get in contact with us. I would love one of our medical staff to just get in contact with her and go through the case so that you can understand and get a reasonable explanation as to why. It's definitely not discriminating. We really don't discriminate against anybody coming to donate. But there will definitely be a reason, a medical reason, as to why she was deferred and asked not to donate on that day.
All right, Marika, thank you so much, and all the best with the rest of the work that you do. Glenda?
Yes, so thank you for giving me the opportunity to wrap up. I would just like to continue from what Marika has said, is that when you go into that donation clinic, the nurses and the people, the staff there, really, their main aim is to protect you as the donor and the recipient. So all the questions that they ask, they even take your hemoglobin and your blood pressure to make sure that you will be safe donating that blood, and also that the blood that they're taking will be safe to give to the recipient. So there's no discrimination, no fear, because their main aim is to look after you. I think once I was rejected because my blood pressure was too low, and they said, well, you may pass out, so we're not going to take blood from you. But for last off, I'd just like to say that blood is such an important component of our bodies. Not only does it take oxygen, the red cells take oxygen to the tissues, and without that oxygen we can't function, but our white cells also protect us from infection. And you can also donate platelets, and platelets are tiny cells that stop us from bleeding. So sometimes donors give only their platelets. And then we have the plasma, which contains a whole lot of proteins such as antibodies and clotting factors that help us to stop bleeding. So this red liquid that we have is such a vital organ, or I'm calling it an organ, but part of our body. And by donating it, you actually are saving a life. It's a wonderful gift. Right. And I can only encourage people to overcome their fear and do it.
All right. Thank you so much for that contribution, Glenda Davison there. All right. That's where we're going to leave it with that particular conversation. When we continue, we take a look at what is happening in the tourism and film industry in KwaZulu-Natal.
The world's best cooking show is coming to S3. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, Noma Upumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish. See if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Starts Saturday 13 July at 7:30 p.m. on S3 Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
Well, this interview has been brought to you by the KwaZulu-Natal Tourism and Film Authority. As we observe Film Month, the KwaZulu-Natal Tourism and Film Authority is rolling out the red carpet to promote and sell the province as a premier destination for the audiovisual industry. The authority's role is to create sustainable growth, develop job opportunities, and build infrastructure to support emerging filmmakers. The authority is set to host the 11th annual Simon Sabela Television and Film Awards in recognition of entertainment excellence in the field. Mu Nolosi is the project leader for the Simon Sabela Television and Film Awards. He joins us on the line this morning. Mu, good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning.
Good day, Cathy. Yeah, good day to the listeners as well. Thank you for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about the initiatives that the KZN province is running as part of course, positioning KZN as a destination for audio and visual industries.
No, thank you very much for the opportunity. The main issue, or rather an event occupying us at this point in time, is the celebration of the Film Month. we have, with the industry, decided to look at July as a month of significance in the film industry. So July is a film month, and we've got a couple of activities that are taking place in July, and of course, as you say, to position KZN as a premier destination for audiovisual or for film. And part of the film month, we've got I would say 3 giant initiatives. One, we have the 45th edition of the Durban International Film Festival, which is taking place from the 18th to the 30th of July. And this is one of the longest running festivals, one of the biggest in Africa. And part of that, there is also a Durban Film Mart, which is a film market as well, which starts on the 19th, finishing on the 22nd of July. But the very first weekend of the Durban International Film Festival, which is Saturday the 20th, that's when we have the KZN Film and Television Awards. Simon Sabela, KZN Film and Television Awards, where we're celebrating craft and talent. But more than anything else, it's really showcasing the growth of the industry in the KwaZulu-Natal province, showcasing talent, showcasing stories of KZN, but also showcasing the locations of KZN as part of really attracting, patrons or film practitioners to come to KZN and shoot here.
What do you find are often perhaps the challenges for KZN when it comes to attracting whether it's production companies, directors in these industries? Because there is, of course, so much that the province would have to offer.
No, of course. We have quite a lot to offer. In terms of our landscapes, in terms of, we have the 600 kilometer beach line, warm beaches here, but the weather is also quite favorable. The diversity of locations here in terms of you have mountains, you have the flat plains, you have the beaches, you've got the rivers, so you've got quite a bit in terms of the wildlife as well. So there's quite a lot that we offer, and it brings quite a diversity. But one more very important factor is that is well within our mandate, that we had to develop the industry, making sure that there's talent so that when big productions come here, they have crew right here. They don't have to bring crew from outside KZN. The other factor is really making sure that the location is ready in terms of, what filmmakers will look for more, and that would be making sure that they are able to save their rent, or they're able to do their shooting cost effectively. So what we've done is making sure that we have facilities that we have negotiated. We've got MOUs with a number of players on the ground that assist any filmmaker or film production that comes to KZN in terms of discounts, in terms of just assuring that everything is coordinated and they have everything that they need and they are able to save time. So it's all those things that we've made sure, and we continue to make sure that they are an attraction for filmmakers. And really challenges would be around the fact that we do not have film studios at the moment, but this is a project that is underway. KZN is realizing that we need that type of a facility. And other challenges would be challenges that you pretty much find anywhere, that you would find that there's maybe there's crime, there's this and that. But other than that, we don't have a lot of challenges. That's the main challenge when we talk on the film industry, to say we do not have film studios and sound studios in KZN. But other than that, so it's quite an attractive destination for filmmakers.
It also sounds like there's an incredible amount of opportunity for young people, especially when it comes to the crew, everybody that's behind the scenes, that's needed needed to actually make a production work. How are you trying to ensure that those young people already are getting skills, are getting some level of training that will be able to position themselves so that they're able to actually get those roles when they do become available?
No, thank you so much for that question. It's quite an important question because that's really one of our focus. Part of our developing the industry, we made sure that we have a dedicated department, fully funded and fully resourced, and that is the Industry Skills Development Department. And that department's function is purely to ensure that we identify scarce skills and we put together programs to address that. But apart from that, just at that beginning, people that are coming out of the high schools that want to get into the film industry, we provide bursaries for them to be able to go to the afters, to the beauty and the UKZN of this world, so that they are able to get in those skills. But over and above that, we've got a number of training programs that we have, and some of those are really bridging students that are coming out of those universities, bridging them into the working world. And we have relationships with a number of production houses where we're able to place these graduates in those productions so that they are able to hone in their skills. Over and above that, we really do make sure that we support them. They are also able to come to us and say, we would like, to be assisted with this kind of skill, and we put together a program like that to assist them. And, more than that, I think what's most important is that this is not only just concentrated in eThekwini. We take that out to different districts, different 11 districts in KZN, to make sure that we also address the imbalances in terms of transformation as it were in the past.
All right. Mo, as we wrap up then very briefly, tell us about the awards on the 20th of July.
Yes, of course, the 20th of July, it's a date that it just feels like it's tomorrow now. On our side, you'll understand we hard at work, all hands on deck, to make sure that we prepare for that. It's glitz and glam, and people are going to be dressing out. But the main thing is this is the platform for filmmakers. We're going to be putting them on the stage, putting them on the shine. We also, I think one other thing that's very important is that we did this right at the center of Durban International Film Festival, because we're making sure that those that are senior in the industry, the producers, the buyers, and the industry are able to see this talent being celebrated, so that also there's continuity in terms of them being able to pick them up into productions, pick them up in terms of job opportunities, or even co-productions and that. So it's going to be a big night. We're looking forward to that.
All right. Mu Ncolosi, project leader for the Simon Sabela Television and Film Awards, and also representing the KZN Tourism and Film Authority. And this interview, of course, has been brought to you by the KZN Tourism and Film Authority. That's where we wrap it up. We're back with you again tomorrow.
The book reading. Please note that the views expressed in this book are not that of the station. Listeners' discretion is advised. SAFM presents another episode of The Door, an addict's journey, read by Samson Khumalo.
My life started to get out of control. My resources were depleted, and the school was calling about unpaid fees, and the dads were catching up to me. I was not sleeping. I was fighting with the dealers. One day I got home, and the sheriff was there to serve me papers from the bank. They'd put my house up for auction. It was ready to be sold for a song. I phoned the lawyers and made arrangements to make payments. I managed to save my house from auction, but I only kept the payments up for about 2 months. The process happened time and time again, and I became quite well acquainted with the sheriff. I was thin and emaciated. I started to withdraw from friends and parties and my hangout places. Wherever I went, people commented on my weight. The weight loss was a problem. I continued to use day in and day out. I wasn't even bathing anymore. I was always paranoid. The paranoia was getting out of hand, and I became scared to even walk out of my front door. Getting to my dealer became a mission. One day I picked my son from school under serious duress and figured since he was in my car, I could pass by my dealer and pick my stash. My son became my safety zone. Who would ever suspect that I would score drugs with a kid inside the car? I felt safe and not suspicious. This became a habit. My son loved chocolate and cheap cookies, and I would take him along under the pretext of going to buy cookies. And yes, we would get cookies, but that would not be the only stop we would make. I was a fully fledged junkie, but I still thought I was keeping it all together, which is absolutely rubbish. One morning my wife woke me up early to tell me I had visitors. Who would visit me so early in my house? It was around 6 in the morning, and I was fast asleep. It took me a long time to wake up because I'd been using heavily for a couple of days, and I was only sleeping because my body had refused to carry on. When I got to the living room, my 3 sisters and my brother were there. I'm sure my wife had told them about my using and how out of control I'd become. We exchanged greetings, and then they told me they knew I was suffering from drug addiction. I'll never forget the looks on their faces. It was like they were looking at an alien or a ghost. I'm sure they didn't realize the extent of the misery. My wife had tried to shield and cover the dirty linen of our family, but I think death was knocking on the door, so she had to speak up because if I had died, she would have had to answer some difficult questions. She had tried to do everything she could do to get me sorted out, but of course nothing worked. They said they hadn't told my mother yet, but the threat was there. I sat quietly and listened intently to what they were saying, but I was thinking, who told them? Thank God I'm not and never was a violent man, and was taught very early in life that you never hit a woman. A man who beats up a woman is nothing more than an animal. The meeting got pretty tense as they aggressively, and I guess with a lot of frustration, tried to get me to sort myself out. I was arrogant and prideful and had answers for everything. I could stomach some advice, but instruction was undermining me to the core, and I resisted. My sister Shadi didn't want to hear my stories, and she told me straight up that she was going to inform my mother. Poor mom. She was now in her 70s. I was her favorite son. I pleaded with them, particularly Shadi and Dumisani, not to do it, and they insisted they would. What if I had stopped as they told her? My young nephew Dumisani joined in, and I was livid. Who was he to tell me what to do? I changed his diapers and looked after him and even sent him to school. Is this how he's going to repay me with such disrespect in my own house? Soon there were screams all over my house, and I left the meeting and went to my bedroom. Shadi and Dumisani followed me, and my instinct was I was done with them. I didn't need them to run my life. After all, I was a grown man, and if I die, I would die my own way. It's my life. My elder sisters Doris and Lala were calm and wanted nothing but peace, and they stayed with me and pleaded with me to go get help. I promised I would consider it. I still didn't believe I had a problem. Everyone was wrong but me. My sister Doris even ran a bath for me and insisted I take a bath as my clothes looked like they have been worn for a week. She insisted in a gentle and respectful manner, so I obliged, and they even prayed and left amidst a sea of tears. My family was being torn apart, and I was the reason. That did not sit well with me. I turned to Ntabiseng and blamed her for bringing them to my house. Who wears the pants in this house? Clearly, if I had to ask the question, it wasn't me. Once again, I used the fight as an excuse to use. I called my dealer, and he took full advantage. The dealer sold me a proper moon in the morning, and I used until around lunchtime, and when I ran out, I called him for more. This one looked the same, but the taste and the strength was not the same. I called him and we argued, and he assured me that it was cut from the same stuff. I disagreed completely and told him that I was the one smoking the stuff. Why would I complain if it was not the right thing? I insisted he swap it, and he said sure, only that I had to pay more money for the same stuff. He alleged that he had already paid his superiors and once bought you can never return, and he would try to sell it for me and see what he could recover. That was rubbish. It was just a scheme to make more money out of me. But I was a junkie and I needed to get my high back. So I bought the new stuff and handed him the bad stuff. This was on a Wednesday, and I told him I had a party on Friday the whole night and would be back on Saturday afternoon. I asked him to please not let me down this time. The bastard had forgotten that he swindled me out of my money, and I was going to get even with him and then dump him. I continued to buy from him that week until the Friday afternoon. I organized 10 rand notes and stashed them neatly in a sealed envelope. Touching it, it felt like it was filled with tons of cash, but it was only 400 rand. Our usual modus operandi was that I never got out of the car. He would give me my stuff and I'd hand him an envelope and I'd drive off. I had organized 2 full moons and he'd arranged for some really good stuff. Hardly 10 minutes later he called me, but I ignored him. I drank several times and eventually I picked up. Before I could say anything, he was raving at me. When he was done, I reminded him that he had sold me rubbish before and that this was my revenge. He hung up and I deleted his number. Some weeks or months later, I wanted some stuff and I was cruising through Brakpan. I was a forgetful junkie. I ran into my dodgy dealer and he was really happy to see me. We made up like old friends and I bought some coke and a few rocks from him, but he hadn't forgotten. That afternoon when I got home, I was alone except for the housekeeper. I went into my bedroom and took a hit, but immediately started to feel funny. I looked at the rocks and thought maybe it was me, so I took another hit. I instantly felt even stranger. I was wobbly and my head felt like it was going to explode. I sat on my bed quickly and a few minutes later I tried to go to the loo, but fell like a sack of potatoes on the floor and I couldn't get up and walk. I didn't know what was happening. I eventually managed to call my dealer and asked him what he had given me. He said, "Good stuff, my friend, good stuff." I believed him. My kids came home and I stopped for a bit but was not myself. Came into the house and stayed with my kids for a short time before I retired to my bedroom to smoke. My wife called me to say my brother had come to visit and that he was in the kitchen. I managed to drag myself up and went to greet him. Few minutes later, I collapsed, and thankfully my brother caught me as I fell, or I would have banged my head on the kitchen counter. I had blacked out and woke up in an ambulance on the way to hospital. The paramedics told me I needed urgent medical attention, but I argued with them, citing my constitutional rights. So they made a U-turn and took me home again. I went straight to my bedroom and lit up. I continued on this destructive path and would stop at nothing to get the next hit. The problem is that the drugs were slowly making me crazy. I was on E, crack, cocaine, and mixing all of it at the same time, coupled with alcohol. My body was not meant to take all of that. It was taking a beating and something had to give. To avoid ups and downs, in the morning I would pick up a full moon and a couple of bags of cocaine, and around lunchtime I would pick up more. At 5, I would pick up another stash that would last me until morning. I was spending about 5,000 rand a day. Some years before, I had bought and built a home in Fourways and partnered with Mike Finley and Marlon Smith, my American friends, and together we bought a house in Wendywood, each owning a third. Our tripartite relationship came to an end and Marlon moved back to the US, but Mike decided to stay in South Africa. We agreed to get a valuation of the property, and once we did, I cut a deal with Mike to buy me out as he wanted to stay in the house. I will never forget the day I got paid. I had about 1.9 million rand in my bank account. I immediately cashed out 600,000 rand. I had some other money as well, so altogether I had around 2.6 million in cash. I used it for drugs, and in less than a year or so, that money was starting to dwindle and there was no more money coming in, save from the few investments I had. My drugs took priority over everything else. When I didn't have money to score, I realized that I could exchange items for drugs. I pawned my children's clothes, toys, and anything else that was of value. I exchanged my jewelry, car tires, and microwaves just for the next hit. Life was becoming unbearable. I had gone to score in Boksburg trying to change the environment, and on my way home decided to go to the Grand Hotel near the airport. This time I didn't want any chicks. My manhood was now letting me down. I would get an erection almost immediately in reaction to the drug, but would disappear almost as quickly as the high. So I rented a room and bought 3,000 rand worth of drugs and a bottle of Johnny Walker. I locked myself in and wrote a suicide note. I was tired and weary and too much damage had been done. This was it. The next thing I was conscious of was a loud knocking on the door. It was the cleaning staff telling me I was supposed to be out of the room at 11. They had given me a bit of grace, but now they needed to clean the room for their next guest. I hadn't died, so I gathered my stuff and went home. When I got there, my brother and wife were waiting for me. I didn't even greet them. I just went straight to my bedroom, scraped my pipe, and used it. I started seeing things, and my mind was fabricating all sorts of things. I was convinced that I was a subject of investigation by the police, the Hawks, and national intelligence. Everyone became a suspect to me. If I was at the mall or even driving along the road, even as a passenger, and you looked at me, I would interpret the look in a funny way and would think right there and then that you were an agent.
That was another episode of The Door, an addict's journey written by Abner Mariri. The book is available on www.abner.africa. It is broadcast on SAFM at 11:45 Monday to Thursday on The Talking Point. It is produced for the station by Vovi Patala, read by Samson Kumalo, technical production by Nanda Koza.
Some of the questions.
It's 12 o'clock on Thursday, the 4th of July, 2024. Very warm welcome to Updated Noon here on SAFM. Leading the conversation, I'm Sakina Kamwendo. Coming up in the next hour, we'll be speaking to Helen Ziller, the federal chairperson of the Democratic Alliance, and also looking at what the message is for the way forward for the government of national unity. Coming up in sport.
Going to hear from Andre Pollard as they prepare, the Springboks prepare for their test match against Ireland at the weekend. And I got prices of how much strawberries and cream will cost us.
Oh, nice. Hopefully you'll be treating us. John Kirica, that is, with more sports news later in the show. We always want to hear from you, so please get in touch. 41391 is our SMS line number, charged at R1.50 per SMS. You can also write to us via X or Facebook at SABC News_radio or using the hashtag update at noon. If you want to send us a WhatsApp voice note, that number 082-692-3909. Well, these and more stories coming up on this Thursday edition of Updated Noon. First, though, let's bring you up to speed with the latest news with Ondela Mbana. Thanks, Sakina. Top stories. Lesotho dismisses DA cabinet claims and Hurricane Beryl wreaks havoc in Jamaica. With the news, I'm Dineo Motaung. Good afternoon. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has rejected claims by the Democratic Alliance that the ANC blatantly refused to consider giving them more cabinet seats. Lesufi says the DA initially accepted a maximum of 3 out of 10 cabinet seats, but later turned around to say they want 5. However, talks between the two parties on forming a cabinet deadlocked, and the DA failed to form part of the executive of the Gauteng government of provincial unity and withdrew from the coalition. Lucifi says it's unfortunate that they could not reach an agreement at the end.
We said, no, we'll give you 3. The only remaining thing was list portfolios. When we went back to then start to discuss on the names of the 3 people and the portfolios that will allocate to them, they came back to say that we're throwing that document. It meant that they're no longer interested in having 3 MECs. They then put a new one. They want 5 MECs, and they also want the ANC to have 5. If you invite the IFP or invite another political party, you must relinquish 1. The danger of that arrangement was that government was not going to function. It's 6 MECs for government to function. But the reality is that we got the highest number of votes, and that must be factored in the allocation.
Meanwhile, Gauteng's new roads and transport MEC Kidibone Dialetlabela says putting an end to taxi violence will be a priority for the 7th administration. Gauteng has seen a series of tax-related violent attacks between warring taxi associations, which has claimed many lives, including innocent passengers. Dialetlabela says the provincial government will also work into expanding the rail system into neighboring provinces.
There's still a whole lot of work. You've seen us in the past 20 months ensuring that we work hard in completing the incomplete road infrastructure projects. There's still a lot. Working closely with the taxi industry in Gauteng, I think will make sure that to an extent we eradicate taxi violence in our province. The Premier spoke a lot about ensuring that we implement the idea of a speed train towards Limpopo. He also spoke about expanding our rail network to the neighboring provinces like the Northwest as well as the Free State.
Still in Gauteng, the Johannesburg Road Agency says they are currently doing investigations to determine the cause of the fire that occurred at the M1 road yesterday, which resulted in power outages.